Arsenal returned to winning ways, easily dominating Monaco and winning 3-0 to put them in a brilliant position in the Champions League. And the man everyone is talking about is the star of Myles Lewis-Skelly coming in and being brilliant at just the age of 18 in his Champions League full debut. In this video, we're going to go through every single touch that he did and why he should start for Arsenal in the future. So let's get into it. Now, first of all, I want to give so much credit to Myles Lewis-Skelly, who really stepped up in this game. Now, we're obviously going to go through everything that he did so well, but it's a major achievement to start a game at just the age of 18 in the Champions League and to be given that trusted environment. Now, there's going to be chat about whether he should have played against Fulham, but I've heard that his fitness wasn't the best, so he couldn't really play in that game. But now that he looks fit and ready to go, I think he should be Arsenal's starter at least until Calafiori comes back. Now, first of all, the dynamics of this game was so much better for Arsenal. We finally saw the midfield that everyone's wanted, being Marino, Rice and Odegaard. And ultimately, how they set up on the ball was that they had their 5 attackers, with Odegaard and Marino being the left hand and right hand side, and Myles Lewis-Skelly usually inverting to be next to Rice to create that double pivot, while the other 3 defenders stayed back. What this allowed for Arsenal to do was actually be able to not only switch the ball very quickly within the games, but also distribute the attacks in different ways. And I actually think the left hand side worked a lot better than the right hand side in this game by using the same things that the right hand side has done before. For instance, we would see people like Marino come wide and deeper to receive the ball and pass it inside to Martinelli, who would then switch the ball to Saka, which is something we have seen on the other side happen a lot. And because of Myles Lewis-Skelly's central positionings that he was picking up, and the fact that he was willing to come down to the right hand side with Declan Rice many times, meant that Arsenal were actually able to switch the ball very quickly, with the long passing of Declan Rice being used yet again, like we saw on the weekend, to kick it over the top for Martinelli and Marino, who would quickly overlap one another. Usually Marino would overlap Martinelli to get into the box, and we saw that be very effective in the first half. Now, this side also worked because of how brave Myles Lewis-Skelly is. Now, there's many times in build-up that we actually just give him the ball and give him the responsibility of making the passes. Now, he's not always going to find that intricate pass through. He's going to sometimes pass the ball back, which is fine, but it shows a lot when we're giving this responsibility to him to actually build up from the attacks. Now, his passing level is incredibly impressive. There is a few times he makes passes that he shouldn't do, maybe a bit too late, and he'll give the ball away, but 90% of the time he just knows exactly what to do. And his passing level to Martinelli and Marino inside was so good. But it's not only just down that side. There was a point where he came centrally because of his position, and that's how it works. Him and Rice did fluidly switch throughout the game, which I think made it even better, because Rice could still bring the ball forward and drag us team through in that left hand side if we needed to, but most of the time Myles Lewis-Skelly would also be in them positions. Now, when he came centrally, he is incredible as well. There were so many times where he found incredible passes through with great runners, and he's just so brave trying to do these insane passes all the time, which mostly come off, even though some of them can be quite safe. And his supreme confidence and ability on the ball definitely helped Arsenal building up from midfield. Now, Monaco were very good at pressing, especially in that first half, and would get tight to Myles Lewis-Skelly when he got closer to that halfway line with Rice. But the interchange that him and Rice continually did was so good. They would bait for each other. Myles Lewis-Skelly would carry the ball forward past players and also pass the ball inside, letting Rice run free and get up the pitch. I think this is something that Arsenal have been missing. It is that sort of Zinchenko level where he can do them intricate passes in midfield. But the one thing that changes Myles Lewis-Skelly from Zinchenko is how dogged he is as a defender. He is very aggressive and is very much gets tight to players to keep the ball. Now, there is so many points where that was on evidence show. There was a point in the back where he is about to get tackled and he just does so well to win the foul there when under pressure. And there was a few times that he was deeper and he was being pressed, and he would still be able to pass it, keep his distance from a player and pass it through most of the time. Now, the big main one as well came in the second half, where he picks the ball up in defence and there's already 3 players around him. Without panicking, he manages to shield off the first guy with brilliant strength and get away from the second guy coming in. Not only does this show his pace, but it just shows how smart he is in these positions, and he tries to put the pass through, which everyone ends up missing, but I don't think it was a bad pass by any means. And you can definitely tell that Myles Lewis-Skelly comes from that defensive midfield, maybe central midfield mould, because he has incredible passing level, but he is also very aggressive in defence. He needs to make them tackles and get tight to people, which I think overall help him in this left back spot. And the great thing about Myles Lewis-Skelly is that he is a player in these games where Monaco, fair play to them, actually came out and tried to press Arsenal and tried to actually win, which we don't see many teams actually do at the Emirates. And he was so good at being able to deal with things under pressure and keep the ball and pass it off. But I also think that his passing level is so high that he could be very good for Arsenal when teams aren't pressing them, with Zinchenko being be that guy where Arsenal are playing a team that are quite scared to come out at the Emirates, where he gets a lot of time and space, which I think Lewis-Skelly can also be used for. And something that's very interesting about Myles Lewis-Skelly is he is a ball carrier. We saw it in this game where he will pick up the ball and actually run at you, which is quite interesting with someone with such good passing. You usually get an even big passer or someone who's big on carrying the ball, i.e. if you look at Odegaard, he's not really a good carrier, but he is more of that passing nature. And the fact that we have got this from someone that is kind of a defensive player, you could say, he could definitely play in central midfield, but he is more of a defensive midfielder left back at the moment, is very unique. And it was all on show for the first goal, which obviously everyone has gone over already. But this just shows the talent level that he has. Odegaard gives the ball into him, and it's not the best pass in the world. He hits it very hard. Minamino comes rushing out to Lewis-Skelly, and a lot of players here are panicking or even passing it back. You know, don't want that beef. They don't even want to bother. But yet again, he's so good at keeping his body in the right position and anticipating that contact, where he can actually just be so tight to Minamino, he can actually just drag the ball around him. Now, this is a reason why he loves being tight to people, because he finds it so easier just to go past them. And then when he does, he is into that space, and he is so confident with that brilliant pass through to Jesus, who is onside. It just shows the confidence that he has. And we're seeing how good his passing level can be as a proper left footer on that side. We saw it against Bolton with that brilliant pre-assist he got in that game as well. And we've mentioned before that having left footers in these positions is more important, just for the angles being a bit better. But when you've got passing level like that as well, it is just such a great thing to have. And on the weekend, it was very well reported that Fulham really did shut Arsenal's right-hand side down. We really struggled without Timber there, and we couldn't really create anything when there were 6 players around Saka the whole time. Now, against Monaco, this was the complete other way around. I felt like our left-hand side was way more effective because of Myles Lewis-Skelly and Marino coming into the side. So they seem to already have that sort of connection there. Myles Lewis-Skelly would come into that insided position and Marino would overlap, or vice versa. And usually you're going to see Myles Lewis-Skelly in a central area rather than a wider area, especially further up the pitch, because of the player that he is. And I think that's the areas Arteta wants to get him in. And the stats on the day were super impressive. He made 45 out of 47 passes with a 96% completion rate. He had 53 touches, which was actually way more than Martin Odegaard, and around about just under the same as Rice. He made 2 successful dribbles out of 2, 4 passes into the final third, made 1 tackle, made 2 defensive actions, 1 recovery, and he won 4 out of his 5 ground duels. And overall, Arsenal actually had a lot of passes throughout their team, but on a day that Odegaard didn't really turn up, I felt like he was quite poor. It was so good to see that we had so much more balance, and the left side worked a lot better. And I also give a lot of credit to Kivior, Rice, Marino, and even Martinelli with the pressing factor, where he was really good off the ball in this game. But overall, the biggest dub for Arsenal in this game is just having that balanced ability. We are now able to allow Saka to be that poacher at the back post and rely on the left-hand side to actually create. Now we can have that sort of balance, and it can give a lot more space to the wingers overall. And now that Myles Lewis-Skelly is completely fit and willing to play, I think he should be starting. I think he should start the game against Everton if we still have injuries for people like Gabriel and Calafiori, because he is the perfect player in there right now. And look, when we were struggling and had injuries before Saka came in, I think the same can happen here. And Lewis-Skelly is up there with Waneri and deserves game time as well. So I'm really proud of him, and I think it was a brilliant performance from him and the team overall. That first half in particular was amazing. If we can play like that a lot more often, I'm excited about the team's future. But let me know what you guys think in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.